Think of fighters who should come and fight in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you're necessarily top of the list, considering some of your lifestyle choices. So, how exactly did this one get offered to you?
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't expected to be put on this card, and especially when I read the guidelines of the culture here, I'm like, oh man, I'm all tatted up. I thought I was gonna have to be all covered up and everything like that. So I was like, I shouldn't even leave the hotel, you know. But this is the first time UFC is coming to Saudi Arabia, and I think the UFC did a great job by putting this matchup together to put on a show.
With Kelvin, right? It's sort of a funny one. We know how good he can be on his day, and then sometimes he seems to not show up. When you have to prepare for a guy like that, do you sort of almost have to mentally stop yourself from overlooking the fact that, hey, he has a couple of rough losses and a bad run of form, and do you just have to prepare for the best that he can be?
With a big name like Kelvin Gastelum, you never know what to expect. To me, he's always been the guy who shows up fight night, and yeah, he's had a couple of tough ones, but I always prepare for the best version of that opponent possible. So I definitely, have been preparing for the best version of him.
He was just in here and he said that training camp's not gone well. He's struggling with a weight cut. It might be a rough one, and he would like to. Him and his manager might, consider reaching out about a catch weight. Have you heard anything about that? And are you surprised that he was so honest?
His actually the matchmakers reached out and I tried to get it to a catchweight, but I mean he must be having such a bad fight camp that he can't even make 180. I'm currently 179 pounds. So I have to put weight back on. It's been 13 weeks since I found out about this fight. I'm sure he has too. So the fact that he's saying that he's having a bad fight camp, it makes no sense, And I feel like it's lack of discipline. I don't know if it's he's having a bad fight camp or just being lazy and doesn't want to make the weight.
There's part of you think, right? Like, if he can't make 180, and that's basically an entire division above, is part of you thinking, like, well, I'm going to stick to the catch weight that I want because if he misses that, that's 20% of his purse that you can get.
I already agreed to 185, and I'm so invested in this fight that it put me in a really tough spot. I need this fight to happen. Um, I spent so much. It has been such a long fight camp, and yeah, I did agree to take a percent of his purse, which is only fair. I just felt like um, 180 would have been a good weight, but if it's not my first time, coming through for the company, and I want just the UFC to know that I'm that guy that's always gonna, make the sacrifices, and even if it's not in my favor.
First of all, respect for stepping up. Secondly, is this something you can take into the cage with you, right? You flew a long way to come here, and then you find out that this guy's struggling to even make the division you've agreed into. So is this something you can take into the cage and sort of think to yourself, man, he obviously just isn't prepared for this, and I can push the pace and get him out of there?
Um, in the sense of being a professional, I feel like I lost a little respect for the guy. I mean, I had nothing but respect for him, but um, the fact that we had such a long fight camp, and he you know, can't even make weight or even come close. I was willing to, negotiate a catch weight, but um, you know, now he has like a little weight advantage, and like I said, I have to put some weight on. But I I've had one of the best fight camps I've ever had. My team, I train at Extreme Couture, and I'm actually the smallest guy in my group, so I train with 185ers anyways. So I'm actually the top middleweights in the game at this point. So yeah, coming in, I just, it's balls to the walls for me for this, like, cause I don't know if it's an advantage or a disadvantage at this point. I'm gonna go out there expecting the best version of him still.
Based on all the information that we know and and obviously the catch weight and everything, well, 185 basically. Are you like worried that this fight is actually going to go ahead?
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not happy with the unprofessionalism. And I was like I said, we are kind of hoping that he was gonna struggle to make weight, which obviously he was. And I was kind of hoping that he'd make weight so I could. It kind of changes the dynamic of the fight. So I was hoping that he'd be like I'd be able to put the pressure on and he'd gas out. So now he don't have to cut all the weight, and I did everything I had to do. So I'm not worried at all. Like I said, I'm the smallest guy in my training group, and I train with much better fighters. Um, One of the guys actually fought him, so he's been my main training partner. And yeah, I'm not worried. I'm just, I'm not happy with the situation.
Is there like any extra pressure as well now, considering the circumstances, and obviously you're both coming off losses as well. So obviously you kind of like looking at it as an advantage for you with the issues he's having with the weight cut and everything. So is there like extra pressure for you? Like, is there like extra pressure to get the win based on the circumstances, and obviously you're
Um,
both coming off a loss.
yeah, the pressure was on. It's been on for me. No one likes coming off of two losses, and it's been a really long fight camp, and yeah, this fight was. I've had a lot of pressure since the moment that I heard of it. He's one of the biggest names I've ever fought. Um, Obviously, he no longer has the struggle to weight cut. So he's obviously a heavier guy, and I feel like he might have an advantage in that regard. But who's to say, or who knows whether or not he had a hard fight camp, or maybe he just didn't want to sacrifice making weight and literally draining himself, depriving himself of energy, and yeah, it kind of changes the fight a little bit.
And obviously you did mention earlier about training with 185ers, and obviously one of them is Sean Strickland. So he seems to be like a leader in extreme couture. So what's it like training with him and everything?
It's really motivating. You know, me and Sean have trained for a long time, in multiple places from California to here in Vegas, and yeah, he's really taking on the role of the leader of the group. I also there, that Extreme Couture is an amazing gym. They got a ton of killers in there. This fight camp, I trained a lot with Chris Curtis, who's also a southpaw and also fought Gastelum, and also wants me to go out there and do a great job. And yeah, it's really motivating. He's really taking on that leader role, and he's doing a great job.
Okay, and just last one from me. Obviously, there's a big welterweight title fight coming up between Leon Edwards and Bilal Muhammad. I just wanted to get your prediction, and how do you think that fight goes up?
For this one, looking back at the first fight, the way Leon came out very aggressive, and he was, doing a great job. Bilal is a great wrestler. He's got a great takedown, but I think Leon showed in his fights with Kamaru Usman that he can handle the wrestling pressure, and I think Leon Edwards is going to win this fight.
آه طبعا شفت المباريات اللي قبل وشفت المباراة اللي آخر كانت ما بين ليون وخصمه. أتوقع وبلال كمان مقاتل جدا قوي موجود على الساحة. وأتوقع أنه ليون ممكن يفوز.
Thank you.